work on the Vmax here. Now, we did the Honda the other day. Today it's going to be the Vmax. It's going to be the final drive or rear differential fluid change. So we have a fill plug here. We'll make sure we take this one out first, and then we take the drain plug out last. It's nothing worse than taking the drain plug out, draining all the fluid, and then having a problem with the actual fill plug stuck. Now how are you going to go ahead and get fluid back in there? So you always take out the fill side first, followed by the drain. And we've got a little used ready to go in the recycle bin here, a bread pan that we'll be using to collect the fluid, and that's what we're going to do. Okay, I can't recommend enough, guys. If you have a bike and you don't mind wrenching on it, get a manual. Don't rely on just YouTube alone. YouTube is great. That's why I decided to put some stuff on there, because you guys have helped me out so many times. But it is good to go ahead and get a manual. And this is the climber for the 85, the 2007 Vmax. Over here on page, let's see here, we're looking at page 60 here. This will be what we're going to be dealing with. So to help you guys out, if you don't have the manual, I'll start down here where it says final gear case oil check. There's the diagram. And there's the area today that we're going to be using, the final gear oil change. Again, I'll kind of pause this, that way you guys can pause the video if you want, and if you don't have the manual, well, now you have a direct copy of it. So that's what we're going to be doing. So it looks like 17 millimeter again to go ahead and get this drain going. So let's get that removed, and then take off the filler side so that allows air to go ahead and displace the oil that's being removed. And just go ahead and just let that start draining for a while. When we put it all back together, again, we have some stuff down here. Final gear case drain bolt torque, 17 foot-pounds. It looks like we installed the final gear case filler bolt, 17 foot-pounds. So a little bit different than the Honda. So this is 17 foot-pounds. Again, if you only have an inch-pound, it's 12 inches to a pound. So you take these figures and you would multiply them by 12, and that will give you the inch-pound if that's all you have. I like to have both. So we're going to be using the foot-pound torque wrench today. So the biggest thing, let's go ahead and get that removed. And like always, I'll be using this. It calls for straight 80, which is fine, you know, and then it talks about different fluids between, I think it's 80 and 90, but this is a 75 to 90 full synthetic from Lucas, and I'm kind of really dying to see what the drain plug looks like on this, to see if, you know, if there's any little shavings or something like that. But I did take the Honda out for a ride today, and it was super smooth and quiet, man. I like it so much. That's why I'm doing the Vmax a little ahead of time. We have a little over 13,000 miles on it. I tried to do this about every 15,000, so it'll be a little bit early, but that's quite all right. So that there is the fill plug, and the color of the fluid was almost black. Again, you feel it till it just starts coming out, a little bit of expansion there. And down here in the pan, you can see, guys, this is really gross. It's almost black. So I'm glad I'm doing it early. This is such an easy thing to do. If you're not filming, it only takes about 10 minutes total. But I'll be filming this and stuff so you guys can see. Anyway, let me go ahead and get that bottom drain plug out and let this continue draining. But this stuff is pretty bad, so I'm glad I'm replacing it. Of course, as the book states, you want it up on the center stand while you're doing this. It has to do with the fluid levels and everything else. So again, let's get that plug out. There's a magnet. We'll take a look at this, get some of that off and see how much debris is actually on there. Coming back down to the bike while it's draining, it looks more like Hershey syrup than it does oil. And of course it stinks because of the sulfur and everything else that's in there. So just let that drain out, let it take its time. There's no rush. You want it to basically, all of it to work its way out of the unit so that it holds as much fresh fluid as it can. And I do have some that's on the tire, so when I'm done I'll go ahead and clean that off, and I'll also hit it with a degreaser to make sure I cut it all off. You can see the color of that, guys. It's almost black. So just take care of your bike. I'll double check these seals. The profiles of the washer seals that are on there actually look okay. Both of them, so I may go ahead and reuse them. If not, I'll go ahead and replace them. But once I get this cleaned up, I'll have a better look at the seals. That's that little washer type little compression deal there. So it's been a good couple hours. Here's the drain plug all cleaned up. You get all the little shavings off and all the rest of it. And this is the fill plug. Same thing, all cleaned up and degreased, ready to go. And over here, all cleaned up and absolutely zero dripping out of it. I actually let this sit for about 2 hours. Do you have to do that? Not really. I just wanted to make sure it was completely drained before I put the nice brand new fluid in there. Also cleaned out the tire where, unfortunately, the way this is designed, some of the stuff does drip down and you don't want any of the gear fluid, gear oil basically on the tire. So used a good degreaser and got the tire all cleaned up. And now I just have to go ahead and put in the drain plug, torque it to 17 foot-pounds, and then add the fluid up here in the fill hole. And then torque that to 17 foot-pounds, and this is done. Like I said, guys, it only takes about 10 minutes at the most. It just takes longer when you're filling it and explaining. So let's go ahead and get this buttoned up. Drain plug is all in. It's torqued to 17 foot-pounds. Just have to go ahead and fill up the reservoir here till it starts to drip out, and that will tell me it's full. Then I can go ahead and put the fill plug in, torque that, and this is done. Alright, finish up the one bottle, and you can see by the color in there, it's nice and clear, which is what it's supposed to be. So it was actually pretty rancid, guys. Again, this doesn't take long to do. When I'm all done, everything's torqued and cleaned up, I'll go ahead and degrease this so it doesn't become a dust magnet. And take your time. If you put it in too quick, there'll be like a little puddle that can form right at the opening and give you the false impression that it's completely filled up. Okay. Hey guys, you can see by the color of that. That's the way it should be. It shouldn't look like Hershey's chocolate syrup. You know what I mean? So if it kind of looks like that, you may want to consider changing this. Again, it's only going to do its best when it's clean and the properties are thus that the fluid is actually doing its job, and that way you know that your bike is going to be good to go and the gears are going to be taken care of. Don't just go, oh, it's fine, it should be good, 15, 20, I don't care. You saw how bad it was, and you see when this is hitting the paper down here, it's crystal clear. That's what you want to try to shoot for. So I'm going to try to put just a little bit more. Okay, that looks like that's about as far as it's going to go. So let's get the drain plug going. We'll go ahead and get this cleaned up and torqued down. Okay, everything's all torqued up, cleaned up, and degreased. I just have one little thing to dress up this nut right here since you can see it. Cover I had to modify. It was actually made for the shock bolt on the VTX. I just had to hollow out the inside with a Dremel so that it would perfectly fit this nut. And that's it. A little bit of a dress up, just like this little axle cover here. That's it, guys. I'm really looking forward to taking this thing for a ride and feeling how smooth that rear differential feels. So that's it. 17 foot-pounds, drain bolt and fill plug. Again, it should take you about 10 minutes. So like, subscribe, hit that bell notification for future content. I'll go ahead and get this on YouTube just as quickly as I can.